The audience is amped. Hello, folks. I'm Ashley Bradnam. Welcome to Head to Head. Now, you join me as I stand alone on the hallowed playing surface of the Head to Head Stadium in these last few moments before our competitors arrive for our Pool A final. The tension in the stadium, I've got to tell you, it's absolutely unbelievable here at the moment, folks. It's been suggested to me more than once that I could probably actually cut the air in here with a knife. But I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's a very good idea. It's against health and safety, for one. But the crowd are hushed. They know what's at stake, so let me make it clear. The winner of tonight's encounter will forever be known as the 2006 Pool A champion, and thanks to ABC Shops, they'll be off to the AFL Grand Final in September. But it doesn't end there. They also earn the right to play off on the first Saturday in December against the Pool B champion, and the victor of that head-to-head grand final will be crowned Australia's undisputed greatest sporting mind and will fly to the UK to watch the finals of Wimbledon. Tonight is going to be a cracker. Let's get down to business and meet our competitors. Champion is George Magoulias, Human Resources Manager from Matraville in New South Wales. George, of course, a five-time champion, an average score of 32, and it looks like you've got the crowd support, George. Welcome back.
Home field advantage. Ashley, how are you?
I'm real well. How do you generally perform in finals?
Poorly.
Talk me through it, George.
Well, mate, as you know, I've lost 4 grand finals in a row. It's a consistent record.
Is it a bad night for me to remind you of that?
Jeez. Yeah, it's a great night. No, really, fantastic.
Hey, well, all things have to come to an end. Tonight is the night, George, that you can stamp your authority on this championship, take the belt into the grand final, and who knows, perhaps you could be Australia's greatest sporting trivia mind. A lot to get through before then, though. Let's bring out your opponent. I say that with some trepidation because returning to take on George is our longest reigning former champion, Daniel Viles from Queensland. Daniel was a 7-times champion, only beaten in his 8th match, and that was by Big George himself. Daniel.
Ashley.
Long time no see. Good to have you back.
Been a while. Thanks for having me back.
What's it been like watching the action from your lounge room over the last couple of weeks, knowing that perhaps you were going to face George in the final?
I've been stewing. I have been absolutely stewing. People didn't know how I was without the belt. I found out who my friends were.
Well, Daniel earned his place here, as I said, by being the longest reigning Pool A champion, and you're a great champion too. You made quite a few friends along the way. Let's have a look at Daniel making friends.
Sorry, I'm late. I tripped over a couple of cliches that were lying around there.
There's plenty around.
Aren't there? He's been a very good champion, although he does come from the same state as Leighton Hewitt, so I think he could crack under pressure.
Oh, ouch.
Raj was a really decent, good human being, and there's just no place for that on head-to-head.
Comfortable in the hot seat?
Freezing. I was good, wasn't I? There are plenty of guys I know who are better than me.
Really?
At general trivia, yeah. Sports? Can't touch me. I mean, there's not a lot in AFL players' heads, so concussion's right up there. Unbelievers!
This is George Magoulias up against Daniel Viles. It's time to get started. The first quarter action of head-to-head. Yeah! I am loving the vibe in the arena tonight. Now, you know the way this works probably better than me, actually. 10 questions. They're either multiple choice or true or false. There's 1 point for a correct answer, no penalty for a wrong answer. And, George, you're still the champ. Hit the hot seat.
Thank you.
If you go well here, Magoo, we could have a Mexican wave in the head-to-head studio before the final is out.
Might take 3 seconds.
Here we go. Question 1 of 10.
Right.
You need a good start in the final.
Definitely.
True or false, George? Dawn Fraser is the only person to win gold in the same swimming event at 3 consecutive Olympic Games.
True.
Incorrect. Christina Egazeki from Hungary also. Question 2. Apart from being rhyming slang for shoes, the St Louis Blues are a team in which sport? A, basketball, B, baseball, C, ice hockey, D, American football.
Ice hockey.
Is correct, and the champ is away. True or false? Brazil won the first of their 5 Soccer World Cups in 1950.
False.
Correct. They won their first in 1958. And Magoo's on a bit of a roll. He's up to 2. And this is question 4 of 10. Which of the following did horse Kiba TikTok win? A, the 1994 Caulfield Cup. B, the individual event at the 1992 Olympics. C, the 1992 Golden Slipper. Or D, the 1990 Snowy River Mountain Classic.
B, the 1992 Olympics.
That is correct. True or false? Steffi Graf has won more Australian Open singles titles than her husband Andre Agassi.
True.
Incorrect, it's false. They've both won 4. A film of which 1896 Australian event subsequently ran for 3 months? A, Collingwood's Premiership. B, the Stall Gift. C, Sheffield Shield Final. Or D, Melbourne Cup.
Here we go. We'll take a pot shot and go with A, Collingwood's Premiership.
That's incorrect, George. It was actually the Melbourne Cup, the first time the race was filmed.
Okay.
True or false, South Sydney fullback Eric Sims kicked 4 field goals in the 1970 grand final against Manly.
False.
Incorrect. It's true.
Jeez.
How are you feeling, mate?
Stupid.
Well, you're not stupid, George. You've made it to the final of our Pool A.
Oh, I don't like Souths. Never have.
I better not give you a bunnies question then next.
Don't, please.
Question 8. In which city is the club that won the 2005 UEFA Cup CSKA based? A, Lisbon. B, Berlin. C, Budapest. D, Moscow.
Moscow.
Correct. That's a bit more like it, George. 2 to go, you're on 4. True or false? Mike Austin, who hit the longest drive ever in a professional golf tournament at 515 yards, was aged 64 when he did it.
False.
It's true. Incorrect.
64 years old.
64 years of age. Mike, how well are you going?
Need a bus to get there, catch the ball.
There's hope for all of us. Here we go, your final question. What horse holds the record for most starts in a Melbourne Cup? A, Shadow King. B, Skybow. C, Saintly. D, Sky Heights.
I know it's not C. We'll have a guess at D, Sky Heights.
That's incorrect. It was A, Shadow King with 6 starts. George, probably not the start you were looking for. You're on 4. Back to the champions' corner for you. Daniel, hit the hot seat. You've got your supporters here too.
Yeah, I brought Mum and Dad.
How'd you go then?
Pretty well, actually. But there were some very curly ones. I don't think George should be too disappointed with 4, to be honest.
Let's see how you fare. 10 ahead of you.
Yeah.
True or false? After India, England has the 2nd greatest population of all the Commonwealth Games participating nations.
False.
Correct. He's away, folks. How many Rugby League State of Origin matches did Barry Gomersall referee? A, 12, B, 10, C, 9, or D, 5?
More than 5. I'm going to go 9.
That's correct. C was the answer we were looking for. The grasshopper. Who do you support in the Origins?
Funny story, I was born in New South Wales. When I moved up to Queensland, I would get beaten up at school after every Origin match, simply because I came from New South Wales. So these days, I support no one.
True or false? England has won the men's singles indoor World Bowls Championship the most times.
True.
Incorrect. False. Scotland.
Okay.
German man Gunter Pasch gained infamy for what event? A, poisoning Farlap. B, KOing Anthony Mundine. C, stabbing Monica Seles. Or D, the Fine Cotton Affair.
I'm going to go stabbing Monica Seles.
That is correct. You started well, Daniel. You're on 3, you're up to question 5, and you're trailed by 1. True or false? Eddie Jones coached the national Japanese rugby union team in the 1990s.
True.
Correct. 1996 was the year, and Daniel has drawn level in the final of Pool A. Still with plenty of questions up your sleeve too. Which tennis player was also an Australian squash championship winner? A, Lou Hode. B. Frank Sedgman, C. Roy Emerson, D. Harry Hopman?
Frank Sedgman.
Incorrect. D. Harry Hopman, the answer we're looking for. True or false? Margaret Smith Court was the last Australian-born tennis player to win the French Open singles title.
False.
Incorrect. True, 1973 being the year.
Oh, after Goolagong, yeah. So,
In a calf roping contest, how many of the animal's legs must be tied? A1, B2, C3, D4.
that's just cruel.
The question or the calf roping?
Yes. I'll go 2.
That's incorrect. It's 3. They get the big lasso out. Do it in about 2 seconds flat. Not into the calf roping.
Not these days, no.
Interesting. Thought it might have been one of your special subjects coming up, but not to be.
Grand final, perhaps.
True or false? You've got to get there first, Daniel.
See how we go.
True or false? In Roman numerals, Beijing will be the XXIV Olympiad.
25 Atlanta, 26 Sydney, 27 XXIV.
XXIV.
False.
That's a good get, correct.
Yeah.
Actually, it will be XXIX. I can never work those things out.
That's good.
Luckily, I have it printed here in front of me.
I'll teach you later.
You're up to your final question. Here we go again.
Did you miss me?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
No, you've been a wonderful champ, Daniel, and you're leading at the moment. Your final question in your first quarter is, what was the name of the second Australian yacht to challenge for the America's Cup? A. Dame Zara, B. Dame Elizabeth, C. Dame Mary, or D. Dame Patty?
Dame Patty.
That is correct, after Mrs Menzies 1967. A good way to finish off the first quarter for Daniel. Our challenger is leading the way at the moment. Back to the hot seat for you. It is quarter time in the battle for the belt, and the score is Daniel 6 leading George 4. It's time for the second quarter of our Pool A final on Head to Head. And you have 2 minutes here to answer up to 20 questions on your special subject. There's still 1 point and no penalty. You can pass. We'll return to the question if time permits. George, trailing by 2, defending champion, hit the hot seat. They're all cheering for you. What are we dealing with here tonight? Euro 2004. You love your soccer.
I do.
You've proven that in the past.
Thank you.
What was so special? What was the one magical moment of Euro 2004 that you'll always remember?
Greece winning.
Another popular mention here. OK, Euro 2004. Good luck to you, George, trailing by 2. 2 minutes, and your time starts now. The 2 top goal-scoring teams for the series were the Czech Republic and which
England.
other? Correct. Which group was Denmark in? A, B, C or D?
C.
Correct. Who scored the cup-winning goal for Greece?
Hardy Staus.
Correct. How many goals in the series did Wayne Rooney score?
4.
Correct. Which player was handed a 3-game ban for spitting at Denmark's Christian
Toddy.
Poulsen? Correct. What was the penalty shootout score between Portugal and England?
6-5.
Correct. Which country was coached by Jacques Santini?
France.
Correct. Who was the coach of the Greek team?
Ray Hagel.
Correct. What nationality was the cup final referee?
German.
Correct. Which player was the top goal scorer for the series?
Milan Baros.
Correct. Which Group C country scored no points?
Bulgaria.
Correct. How many countries beginning with S took part in the group matches?
3.
Correct. On what date was the final played?
4th of July.
Correct. Who did UEFA vote as the player of the series?
Zagorakis.
Correct. How many goals were scored against Portugal in the Group A matches?
2.
Correct. Which English player had a last-minute header disallowed that would have sent England into the semi-finals?
Sol Campbell.
Correct. Which country did the Czech Republic beat on the 23rd of June to reach the quarterfinals?
Latvia.
Incorrect. Germany. Which Portuguese player equalled the record for cup appearances with
Figo.
Correct. How many corners did Portugal win in the final?
10.
Correct. What was the score of the opening game between Greece?
2-1 Greece.
That is correct. We're out of questions, mate. special stuff.
Thank you very much.
Let's work this out. You're on 23 now. You were on 4 before. My maths is horrible, but that's 19 out of 20. To do that in the final, they say, cometh the hour, cometh the man. You're not choking tonight, George. You're on fire.
Thank you.
Well done. Back to the champions' corner for you. Daniel, get in the hot seat. Now we've got a battle on our hands,
Don't
Daniel.
we? What? Oh, that was hot. Oh,
Unbelievable.
wasn't it?
All right, let's take a big breath. You've got work to do here.
Thanks.
You're trailing by 17.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm about to hit you with 20 questions, quick fire. Your specialty subject tonight is Test cricket in the 1990s.
Yep.
You've performed really strongly before, right here in the second quarter. In comparison to the previous rounds, Test cricket in the 1990s, how well do you know it?
A lot depends on the questions. Again, very broad topic. I know a lot. We'll see how we go.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Your time starts now. Which team beat Australia by 1 wicket in a 1994 Test match?
Pakistan.
That's correct. Which spinner did Shane Warne replace in the Test team when he made his debut in 1992?
Greg Matthews.
Incorrect. Peter Taylor. Against which country did Mark Waugh score his 10th Test century?
Pakistan.
Incorrect. Sri Lanka. Which Australian player received a baggy green number 366 on debut in 1995?
Pass.
Which Australian played his first and only Test against Pakistan in 1994?
Phil Emery.
Correct. At which ground did Australia reclaim the Sir Frank Worrell Trophy from the West Indies in 1995?
Sabina Park, Kingston, Jamaica.
Correct. Who was the only bowler to take a Test hat-trick against Australia in the
Darren
1990s? Correct. Who scored his maiden Test century in the same innings that Mark Taylor scored 300?
Justin Langer.
That's correct. What was the highest individual score made by a batsman in the 1990s?
Brian Lara, 375.
Correct. Name either Australian batsman to be dismissed for 199...
Steve Waugh.
Or Matthew
Matthew
Elliott.
Elliott.
Correct. How many consecutive Tests did England lose from 1992 to 1993?
11.
Incorrect. 7. In 1994, Pakistan captain Salim Malik offered money to Mark Waugh and which two others to play badly?
Tim May, Shane Warne.
Correct. Which team did Ian Healy play in his last Test?
Zimbabwe.
That's correct. Which umpire gave Craig McDermott out caught behind...
Darryl Hare.
Correct. How many runs did Mark Waugh score in the next innings after his 4 successive ducks in 92-93?
138.
Incorrect. 39. Who scored 85 not out and took 10 wickets against the West Indies in January 1996?
Michael Bevan.
Correct. Who led South Africa in their first Test match in over...
Kepler Vessels.
Correct. In 1997, which country made 952 in a single
Sri Lanka.
innings? Correct. In the 97-98 series, which Pakistani duo equalled the record for a 10th wicket partnership?
Mushtaq Ahmed and Azhar Mahmood.
Correct. Against which country did Shane Warne play his 50th Test?
South Africa.
That is correct. We'll accept that on the buzzer there. What an effort by Daniel Biles. We have a cracking final on our hands tonight, folks. You passed on one question there. The Australian player who received the baggy green number 366 on debut was punter.
Okay.
Punter Ponting, Ricky Ponting, back in 1995. You're on 21 points. Back to the challengers. Corner for you. Oh, they're shaking hands, but there's plenty at stake. It's half-time in the battle for the belt, and the score is George 23, leading Daniel 21. It's finals fever, and it's time for the third quarter on head-to-head. The big one, the premiership quarter, the money round. Our competitors go head-to-head here. They assume the buzzers. 2 minutes of questions, quick-fire stuff, still 1 point for a correct answer. But now, a 1 point penalty if you get it wrong. We'll put the 2 minutes on the clock. We'll get started in just a moment. Magoo, leading by 2. How do you feel now?
I'm still nervous. It's good.
Daniel?
Supposed to be ahead at this point. Unless I perform, it's not enough. It's not enough.
Well, one thing we know about George is that George can come home with a wet sail.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him lead too often in the early stages of the game, so it's fresh territory here for you, George. Let's have the 2 minutes up on the clock right now. And your time starts now. Who is the president of the International Olympic Committee? George.
Shark Rog.
Correct. For which English Premier League team does French soccer international Thierry Henry...
Arsenal.
Correct. Which golf course has held the Australian Masters since 1979? Daniel.
Huntingdale.
Correct. Formed in 1858, which is the oldest AFL club? Daniel.
Melbourne.
Correct. Who was the first Australian to wear the leader's yellow jersey in the Tour de France? Phil Anderson. Who were the NRL minor premiers in 2000? Daniel?
Parramatta.
Incorrect. New Zealand Warriors, 2002. Name the jockey who retired to become a lay preacher in 19... Daniel?
Darren Beedman.
Correct. Who designed the wing keel of... Daniel?
Ben Lexon.
Correct. Who briefly replaced Tiger Woods as world #1 goal... Daniel?
Vijay Singh.
Correct. Who was the first Aboriginal person to win an Olympic gold medal? Daniel?
Nova Peris Kneebone.
Correct. Makybe Diva won 3 Melbourne Cups under 2 trainers. Name them. George?
Lee Friedman, David Hayes.
Incorrect. David Hall and Lee Freeman. With which sport was Australian Vic Patrick associated? George?
Boxing.
Correct. Name the Formula 1 driver killed in the 1990... Daniel?
Ayrton Senna.
Correct. Which club has won most first-grade premierships in the New South Wales Rugby... Daniel?
South Sydney.
Correct. Which country won its first Davis Cup in 2005? Daniel?
Croatia.
Correct. Which Australian cyclist's foot slipped out of the pedal at the... Daniel?
Kelly.
Correct. What nation will host the 2010 FIFA World Cup? Daniel?
South Africa.
Correct. Which driver won back-to-back Formula 1 Drivers' Championships in 1959-1960? Daniel?
Jack Brabham.
Correct. Name the former Fitzroy VFL AFL player who later became Governor of South Australia. Sir Douglas Nicholls. Which cricketer broke the record for the most sixes in a test innings at the end? Daniel?
Andrew Simons.
Correct. Which 2 Grand Slam tennis titles did Roger Federer win in 2005? Daniel?
Wimbledon, the US Open.
Correct. Who won Rugby Union's first Tri-Nation Series in 1996? You can't accept that. I was asking the question as the buzzer sounded. Didn't look like you needed it too much anyway. Put your hands together. The challenger has issued a bold statement here that he wants the belt on head-to-head. It is three-quarter time in the battle for the Pool A belt, and the score is Daniel 34 leading George 25. Time for the fourth and final quarter on head-to-head. And there's now 2 points for a correct answer. There's a 2-point penalty for a mistake. In 2 minutes' time, one of you will be our Pool A champion and our first grand finalist. Daniel, you lead by 9 at the moment. I know you're a confident man. What's your tactic here? It amazed me in that last quarter there how you anticipate the questions and how often you anticipate it correctly.
Just focus. I'm not thinking about anything else at the moment.
You in your little glass cage?
Very much so.
And what about you, George?
I'm outside it.
I thought I recognised you.
Well, one thing we know about George, he is the buzzer-beating Baron. He has come back plenty of times right on the death. You need to do it again. The scene is set. Everything's there.
Nothing to lose.
So good luck, George.
Thank you very much.
You've done it before. You can do it again. 2 minutes on the clock. Let's rip in, boys. Good luck. Your time starts now. Whose ear did Mike Tyson bite? Daniel?
Evander Holyfield.
Correct. In what sport do nations compete for the Eisenhower Trophy?
Golf.
George? Correct. Wait for your name to be called. Which former New South Wales State of Origin representative went on to feature in the TV series Gladiators? Daniel?
Mark Magoo.
Correct. Name the Australian who holds the record for the most goals scored in a World Cup soccer... George?
Archie Thompson.
Correct. In what sport did Kasumi Takahashi win a... Daniel?
Rhythmic gymnastics.
Correct. Name the Australian billiards player invited to Buckingham Palace in 1930... George?
Lindrum.
Correct. How many rugby league games did Arthur Beetson play for Queensland? Daniel?
It's one state of origin, but that wasn't the question.
Incorrect. The answer was 3. Who was the first Australian to swim the English Channel? George?
Linda McGill.
Correct. Which club has won the UEFA Champions League most times? George?
Real Madrid.
Correct. Who lit the flame at the 1956 Olympics? Daniel?
Ron Clark.
Correct. Who made 174 for England in cricket's centenary test? George?
Derek Randall.
Correct. Who was the captain of Balmain when they lost consecutive rugby league grand... Daniel?
Wayne Pearce.
Correct. What is the name of the medal awarded to the player of the match in soccer's A-League? George?
Joe Marsden. Medal.
Correct. In which country did Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman? Daniel?
Zaire.
Correct. What country does World 100 metres champion Asafa Powell? Daniel?
Jamaica.
Correct. In what sport did the New Zealand Breakers compete? Daniel?
Soccer.
Incorrect. Basketball. What season was the English Premier Soccer League? Daniel?
1992-93.
Correct. Who is the only player to be named Super Bowl MVP 3 times? Daniel?
Jerry Rice.
Incorrect. Joe Montana. Who has scored the most ducks in Test cricket? Daniel?
Courtney Walsh.
Correct. How many Wimbledon singles tennis titles did Martina Navratilova win? Daniel?
9.
correct. Which Australian swimmer retired in 1974 after winning 13 medals at 3 successive Commonwealth Games and 2 Olympic gold medals? George.
Magoo.
Incorrect. Michael Wendon. Who was the Australian Test cricketer called for throwing in 1963? The answer was Ian Metcalfe. The boys can't answer it. The siren has sounded. And we have a winner. Put your hands together, folks. That was exciting stuff down the stretch.
Congratulations.
Let's confirm it. We do have a winner. We'll go to the scoreboard for confirmation, and you can see Daniel just too strong in the end, holding on 48 points to 37 to defeat George in our Pool A final here on Head to Head. I need a big, deep breath after all of that. That was exciting stuff down on the stretch there. George, you've tasted defeat for the first time.
It looks like I might get to the final. He looks like he's going to have a heart attack.
George, I really enjoyed having you on the show. You've been a fantastic champion. Unfortunately, mate, we have to ask you to return to the changing sheds.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, mate.
Thanks, mate.
He's a great champion. Daniel, congratulations, mate. Come over here and join me at the front of the Head to Head Stadium. Well done.
Thank you.
Fantastic result tonight. These are your tickets to the AFL Grand Final. You're off there, my friend. Put your hands together for Daniel. What a fantastic effort. And I can also tell you, courtesy of the massive budget here at ABC, put the shoulders back, mate. We have an official head-to-head robe that you can don as well, and you will wear this into the grand final on that first Saturday in December. Give us a spin. It's his colour too. It brings out the green in his eyes. You're officially our Pool A champion, Daniel Vaz from Queensland. And more importantly, of course, Daniel will return at the end of the year. He'll play off in the grand final for the right to be crowned Australia's greatest sporting mind. But for now, Daniel, this is what you've waited for. You pick up the belt. You've earned it. This is your champion, your Pool A champion, folks, Daniel Vaz. And we will see Daniel in December for the big grand final. We'll see you next week. A very good night.